Super Mario, Link, Sonic the Hedgehog, Pac-Man. These are just few of the more popular names in the video gaming's long lineup of characters. But where do these names come from? Why is Mario called Mario and not Mr. Mustache the Power Plumber? And why is Link called Link and not, well, Peter Pan? Well, one thing is certain, these names are known all over the world, and they have in fact pretty interesting origin stories. Why is Mario called Mario? Today, I'm going to answer that question and many more. Welcome to Marinic 90's 56 video game characters name origins. Enjoy! The name of the character is very important. Sometimes character's name has deep origin and meaning, but sometimes the name can be completely random. Other times it's pretty obvious where the character gets his name, just in case of Donkey Kong. The Kong part of the name of course means something along the lines of the big ape. Donkey part of the name is a little harder to explain. You see, donkey part refers to stupidness, same way as calling the character Dumb Kong. However, that was not the original intention. The legend has it that he was originally to be called Monkey Kong, but someone screwed up on development team and we got Donkey Kong as name instead. Name as whole is nod to other famous ape kidnapping lady and climbing on top of the building, the King Kong. And in the end, Universal Studios sued Nintendo for ripping off their character. As it turned out, Universal didn't actually have rights to King Kong after all. Not only that, but the King Kong game they released was pretty much rip-off from Nintendo's Donkey Kong game, and it was seen as a violation of Nintendo's property, and they ended up winning the case against Universal so hard that they walked out of the court with more money than they had going in. DK's partner Diddy Kong has much more simple origin. The name Diddy Kong is slang word used in northern England for small. Similar how Diddy is much smaller than Donkey Kong. Developers considered many other names for Diddy as well, such as Diet DK, DK Light, and Titchy Kong. I'd say we got the best out of that naming process. Kirby was originally named Popopo during the development. As funny as Popopo sounds, Masahiro Sakurai settled on Kirby, there being two reasons for this. One, he didn't want the character to have overly cute name, and while Kirby as name sounds like a grumpy sailor, he saw it fitted the character. Other reason was that American lawyer John Kirby was the one that defended Nintendo in that legal case over Donkey Kong, with Universal Studios as I mentioned earlier, so in sense Kirby is named after him. Also, did you know that Kirby shares his name with vacuum manufacturing company? Okay, we all talked about Donkey Kong, but what about his rival? Originally, Mario was named Jumpman due to his powerful jumps. In the beginning, he was going to be called Mr. Video, as his creator, Shigeru Miyamoto, planned to use him as cameo character that would star in every game he'd create, similar to Kazumi Tataka's song, which appears in games he worked on. However, the character of Jumpman was soon to be renamed Mario, in order to give him more human name. It is said that the name comes from Nintendo's Italian landlord, Mario Sigoli, whom interrupted developers' meeting, demanding to get his rent, all while the company was in need of new name for Jumpman. Kinda funny how things worked out. Mario's brother Luigi got his name by less complicated means. Nintendo was in need of secondary character for their Mario Bros. Games, two-players mode, so they just altered Mario's sprite a little to create Luigi. Thanks to this, his Japanese name was Luigi, meaning similar. His Luigi name, however, comes from pizza place near Nintendo of America's headquarters, called Mario at Luigi's. So in sense, Luigi is called Luigi because Mario is called Mario. And if we continue with more Mario characters, where do the names of Koopa Clan come from? First, let's look at Koopa. Originally, Miyamoto considered naming all of the bad guys in the Mario franchise after Korean dishes. Koopa is Korean soup with rice. This is where we go to Bowser, as he's just King Koopa in Japan. The king of the turtle soup! Still, his American name has to come from somewhere, right? Bowser is actually name of military tank, which is fitting, as he's quite a tank himself, right? The name Goomba comes from Italian slang word Goomba. The term originates from word compare. Other definition for the word means member of criminal gang, which again is fitting. Their Japanese name is Kuribo, meaning chestnut guy, which they kinda look like anyways. Ironically, Hungarian word for mushroom is Goomba. Goomba is just that popular. Princess Peach gets her name from a fruit with the same name. But come on, isn't that obvious? She is pink as peach flowers and sweet as fruit itself. But that's not her original name. Originally, she was called Princess Toadstool due to her status as ruler of mushroom people, Toads, whose name in turn doesn't mean frog, but is short for toadstool. Okay, let's take a break from Mario characters and let's talk about another equally famous face, Pac-Man. His Japanese name Pac-Man was inspired by word paku paku, which describes sound of eating, similar to English word chomp or nom. Yeah, you can have those two as a bonus. As more development on the character was done, his name eventually became Pac-Man, which in turn was changed into Pac-Man when Americans grew concerned about some people sabotaging arcade games, named by turning Pac-Man's first P into F. Go figure how that would spell out. In time, name Pac-Man was used globally, since it sold more, I guess. Yoshi's name seems to be delivered from typical Japanese name. However, his name was romanized as Yoshi in earlier Japanese materials. The funny thing is that he is nowadays called Yoshi in every language. According to a 93's Nintendo character guide, Yoshi's full name is T. Yoshisaur Manchakoopas. How do they come up with these? Olimar and his companion Louie from Pikmin are funny ones. Their names are actually delivered from the names of Mario and Luigi. When you really look at the designs of the two, you can see the similarities. Olimar and Mario are shorter and chubbier. Luigi and Louie are taller and thinner. Also, Luigi is technically Italian equivalent to name Louie. Not to mention that both of these are partners in relation to one another. Now on the Zelda characters. Shigeru Miyamoto has stated that Link was originally going to be named Christo, after his grandfather. But later he decided that his adventure game should have protagonists with more thought out name. The name Link was chosen as he was player's link to the game's world. And oh boy, how many puns they did with that one. Now then, where does the name Zelda come from then? Miyamoto simply named her after Zelda Fitzgerald, because she was famous and beautiful. Miyamoto chose her name also because it sounded powerful and royal. Zelda's and Link's names are easy to explain, but what about the third Triforce holder? I honestly have no idea where Ganon's name comes from, but if one of you weavers could explain it, I'd be grateful. So leave a comment down below if you know origins of Ganon's name. Alright, let's continue with Link's steed Epona. Epona is name of Roman goddess of horses, who was also goddess of fertility. Interesting combination. Sonic may be the coolest and fastest hedgehog around, but that certainly wouldn't be the first thing to pop on people's minds if he was to keep his original name, Mr. Needlemouse. I shit you not. However, creative team didn't like this name because they thought it sounded silly and they changed it. Good call. The name Sonic was given to the character to represent his high speeds. Sonic's partner Tails has quite easy explanation. He has two tails. That's why he's called one. The end. Okay, that might be true, but there's more. You see, the real name of Tails is actually Miles Brewer, which is wordplay from miles per hour, another speed-related name just like Sonic. Knuckles the Echidna is not too hard either. Just look at his fists. The character of Knuckles was partially created around the emphasis of breaking walls with his powerful fists, and the name Knuckles was chosen to reflect this ability. The name of Amy Rose comes from, you guessed it, roses. However, her original name was Amy, without second name. When her name was localized, they changed Amy into Amy, as it was direct translation for the name. Dr. Eggman's original name is Dr. Ivo Robotnik, well, at least in English. Sonic Team's Yui Naka has stated that Robotnik is the character's true last name, and it's related to Eggman's ability to work on robotics and such. His first name Ivo was picked primarily because it had similarity to word evil, but also because one of the developers had a sister who at the time was dating a guy named Ivo. Dr. Eggman was the character's original name in Japan, and nowadays he's known as Eggman in all parts of the world. Of course, this name was given to him due to his penis-like shape. Shadow the Hedgehog is named Shadow to reflect not only his oh so dark and broody nature, but also the fact that he was originally presented as Sonic's evil doppelganger, and dark shadow-like reflection, because they look totally the same. Silver the Hedgehog, on other hand, is a bit more complex. Originally, he wasn't to be called Silver, nor was he a hedgehog. In the early stages of development for the game which shall not be named, Silver was going to be Mink, called Venice. After Venice, in Italy, the place game's premise Soliana is based on. In the end, developers decided against this and made Silver Hedgehog instead. When the creative team was creating his model, they used white-grey textures, leading to the name Silver. Enough of the Sonic characters for now, and let's look what's the deal with Mario's and Luigi's cousins, Wario and Waluigi. Firstly, are W's evil? Or is Wario's name actually Mario with M flipped? Because everything that is upside down is evil? And if that's the case, is Waluigi's real name Ma Luigi flipped, making him Mama Luigi?
That's Mama Luigi to you, Mario!
Well, no, that's not the case. Wario's name actually takes Mario and mixes it with Japanese word warui, meaning bad. So Wario is just bad Mario. Waluigi's name, Waluigi, shares this design as well, translating into bad Luigi. Crash Bandicoot was originally going to be Willy the Wombat. Why Wombat? I don't know, but hedgehogs and Tasmanian devils had already been taken. As the development of the first Crash game got further, the creative team noticed that Willy was smashing quite a lot of crates open, so they changed his name into Crash and made him a Bandicoot. This was because of his late artwork started to look more like Bandicoot and less like a wombat. Banjo and Kazooie get their names from instruments they play, Banjo and Kazooie. Yeah, it's kinda obvious. Sorry. But speaking of musical instruments, let's look at the Mega Man franchise. While Mega Man is best known as Mega Man, his Japanese name is Rockman. No, not like that. I meant rock as a musical term. This also means that with his sister Roll, they are rock and roll. Mega Man's rival, Bass, is also a musical term, but this is not the case with every Mega Man character. Dr. Thomas Light and Albert Wiley are in fact named after two famous scientists and inventors. The name of Dr. Thomas Light comes from Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb. Albert Wiley is named after Albert Einstein, considering how Hiroshima and Nagasaki were destroyed by nuclear bombs, based on Einstein's research during the World War II. It's not that far-fetched that the villain of Mega Man would be based on him. Mega Man X gets creative by naming their characters with numerals of many kinds in relation to their character. Mega Man X, or just X for short, is X due to X always representing the unknown. This emphasizes the fact that the character X has endless possibilities, and he could become anything. Zero is a little harder to explain. While people may think that zero means absolutely nothing, well, actually that's right. By math, 0 times anything just equals 0, and 0 divided by anything is 0, just as 0 as a character was originally created for destruction. Basically, 0 is one that never changes, unless you add X, the variable, into play. That third guy from Mega Man X, Axel, is named Akuseru in Japan, which means acceleration or accelerator, as his copy ability was supposed to be the next step of Reploids, so the evolution of robots would accelerate. As for his English name, I thought it might be a reference to Guns N' Roses' Axl Rose. Sigma is the 18th letter in the Greek alphabet and is used in mathematics to denote finite or infinite sums of variables. Yeah, same kind of stuff with 0, basically representing the idea that nothing is absolute. Master Chief doesn't need much explanation, but his real name is an interesting one, as it is John 117. If all the overused number 7s and religious symbolism in Halo series wasn't taken account, John 117 is still direct reference to Bible verses John 1, 1-7, and in that particular section of the Bible they talk about a man named John, who later became 7th Bishop of Jerusalem. There's the number again. Fox from Star Fox is named Fox because in fact he's a fox. Metal Gear franchise has had 3 different versions of their main character, Snake. Most popular one is Solid Snake. Basis for the name Snake has been said to come from movie Escape from New York, but neither Kojima or Konami have confirmed this. Based on what Kojima said, he chose the codename Snake because snakes are best at hiding and moving without a sound. The solid part of the name was simply added to make names sound harder and tougher. His real name is David, by the way. Doom Guy, the protagonist of Doom franchise, has interesting background to his name. The co-designer of original Doom game, John Romeo, has stated that in order to intensify the gamer's connection to the game's world, they never named the main character, as it was supposed to be just you, the player. In time, people started to call him by the name of the title, and he was known as Doom Guy before long. In Pokemon franchise, many of the Pokemon names come from quite interesting places. Pikachu is clearly the most popular Pokemon, but what does his name mean? It's actually a combination of 2 words, Pika Pika, which means sparkle, and Choo Choo, meaning squeak, sound of mice. The name might also be inspired by this small animal called Pika. Since we don't have the time to go over all the important names in a Pokemon, let's just stick to the original Kanto starters. Charmander. His name is combination of word char, meaning to burn, and salamander, making Charmander. As for Squirtle, his name is combination of squirt and turtle. The name also fits because it sounds like a squirrel, and Squirtle's tail looks kinda like Squirrel's tail. However, against this belief, the name doesn't actually relate to Squirrel, as the tale is based on Japanese legend. Bulbasaur's name is combination as well, combining bulb, a round underground storage organ of some plants, and saur, ancient Greek for lizard, which Bulbasaur is based on. Well, there were some Pokemon, but where does the name Pokemon come from then? Well, in Japan, the franchise was originally called Pocket Monsters World, directly borrowed from English, which later during the development became contracted into Pokemon, likely to shorten the name, considering the small size of the Game Boy screen. The Pokemon name used today came about when the games were released for English audiences. To avoid confusion with the unrelated Monsters in My Pocket franchise, so the name became more Japanese sounding Pokemon. Lastly, Kingdom Hearts names its main characters very creatively in relation to one another. In Japanese, Sora means sky, Riku means land, and Kairi means ocean. Kairi also means separation. Sora and Riku as a friends are separated because of Kairi's love, but before that all 3 of them live in harmony in Destiny Islands. where sky, land, and ocean meet. Yeah, that's kinda Kingdom Hearts and its key point. Other three main characters are named similarly like previous mentioned ones. Ventus is Latin, meaning wind. In same manner as Sora is sky, Terra means earth in Latin, showing connection between him and Riku. And finally, Aqua is Latin as well and means water, just like Kairi means ocean. The main villain of Kingdom Hearts, Xehanort, is named in similar manner to nobodies in the franchise. Xehanort is anagram of word another with additional X in the name, like all nobodies have in Kingdom Hearts. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed me rambling about the reasons behind the names of the few of the more beloved video game characters. So, I hope you have learned something new, and hit that like button and leave a comment, and maybe if you know about some name origin for a video game character that I didn't mention, feel free to share your info in the comments. And I'll catch you next time.